Reminder to please silence your electronic devices so as not to interfere with the meeting. Board, Dr. Dawkins has asked that we do the work session first to take care of that business, and then we can go to the special call meeting. So with y'all's acknowledgement and approval, we'll go ahead and move into the work sessions. Everyone agrees? Nod. Okay. We will let the record show that the board is in unanimous support of doing the work session first. And we'll have the executive committee roll call. Please vote. Show the vote. Are we ready? Okay. Thank you. We have presentations from Dr. Dawkins.
Thank you, President Ramsey, members of the board, members of the audience. Just one quick presentation. I want to give you an update on the school district's readiness for the 2013-14 school year. Had great meetings this week with staff and principals, and I just want to give you some idea of what has been happening. And I'll just read the statement. I'll give you a copy of it. Prior to the work session tonight, I'd like to thank and salute the staff and students who make up the Caddo Parish School District family. I've been honored to serve as this district superintendent for the last 5 years with such great colleagues and students, especially our students and colleagues. These colleagues and young people have ensured that we have had 5 consecutive years of academic growth and improvement for the school district. We've seen substantial growth in our graduation rate district-wide to the highest level ever in the school district. We are strategically poised to successfully launch the full implementation of the Common Core curriculum. We have trained staff in the state's new compass evaluation system, and I think we're ready for that as well. We've trained teacher leaders in each school to help staff successfully utilize state resources. As you know, with the many changes at the state level, they've incorporated teachers to be leaders in schools, and we've successfully trained people for that. We've planned and executed our spending so that our district's fund balance is $56 million in spite of the board-approved $15 million to keep our schools and the $14 million that was transferred to the OPED Trust. We have exited 10 schools, including some of our longest designated schools, out of academically unsuccessful status. We have an educational development plan that was developed in conjunction with the State Department to immediately address the remaining 15 schools who are still in AUS. Overall, the district is prepared, and I want to say to the public, is prepared to go into the 2013-14 school year with reassigned staff and a commitment, continuing commitment to service the needs of all children. My best wishes to the staff, students, and community partners and parents of the school districts. To board members who have supported our work, we thank you. We'll move to the next item.
We'll look to establish the agenda for the August 20th meeting. Dr. Dawkins.
Call your attention to the agenda for proposed agenda for August 20th. Under 3.01, we will have some recognitions of staff as we normally do. I'll drop down to 6.01. You have personnel recommendations. I think if you don't, you will have them today. And we also sent you information for your a list of principal assignments for your information. We'll have purchasing 7.01. I think it's reconditioning football helmets. 8.01, 2013-14 pupil progression plan. 8.02, 2013-14 Caddo Parish personnel evaluation plan. 8.03, mental health interagency agreements and contracts. 8.04, resolution of level 4 grievance. 8.05, long-term use of Caddo Parish school board facilities. 8.06, approval of Coca-Cola concessions contract with Southwood High School. 8.07, approval of shared services agreements. with Linwood Charter School and Lanier Middle School. And 8.08 is out-of-state travel. There will be an update, I'm sure, and there will be, I think, 1 or 2 student readmission appeal hearings.
Okay, at this time, we will establish the agenda and proposed consent agenda. I guess I might ought to let the visitors talk before we do that. No, I'm doing it right. We're going to establish the agenda, then we'll let them talk. Okay. Item 6.01, consent. Any questions? This is the personnel recommendations. We'll have a list of the any comment. Okay, we'll add that to consent. Item 7.01, purchasing agreements. You heard the description there. Football helmets, consent. 8.01, the Caddo Parish Pupil Progression Plan, consent. 8.02, the Caddo Parish Personnel Evaluation Plan, consent. We'll add to the consent. 8.03, the Mental Health Interagency Agreement.
That on consent right now. I have some questions.
Okay, which 8.02 or 3?
Yes, the personnel evaluation.
Okay, the personnel evaluation plan, we're not going to put that one on consent. All right, 8.03, consent. This is the mental health interagency agreements and contract. 8.04 is a level 4 grievance, so we're going to have to not put that on consent. 8.05, long-term use of Caddo Parish School Board facilities. Okay, consent. 8.06, approval of Coca-Cola concessions contract for Southwood High School. Consent. 8.07, approval of shared services agreement for Linwood Charter School and Lanier Middle School. Is consent. And the out-of-state travel request. 8.08, consent. Okay, and the any word on the 13.01? We have currently 1 or 2 hearings, so we can't put that on consent yet. Okay, to rehash the consent items is 6.01, 7.01, 8.01, 8.03, 8.05, 8.06, 8.07, and 8.08. Okay. Executive committee, at this time, I would entertain a motion to establish the agenda of the proposed consent agenda.
Move to approve the
Additional item.
I didn't hear you.
Additional item.
Oh, yeah, we can, do you have your backup information? This is the work session.
The work,
Yes.
so we go, yes.
Okay. Oh,
Oh, but yeah, we should have backup.
I have short term.
Okay, we ready?
Ms. Bell?
Yes, I'd like to, additional agenda item added to give $500 to each of the 10 schools that came out of AU status in academic recognition celebration.
second.
It's an agenda item, a proposal to add an award of $500 for an academic celebration.
Academic recognition celebration.
Academic recognition, are y'all getting this over there, ladies? Academic recognition celebration for the 10 schools that moved from the AU status. Mr. Attorney, do we need to list those 10 schools? Okay. Okay, that will be agenda item 8.09. Would y'all like to add that item to consent?
Yes.
Okay. We'll add that item to consent. Okay. Again, that's all the, okay. Again, 6.01, 7.01, 801, 802, 803, 805, 806, 807, 808, and 809. We have some folks on the board. Ms. Crawley. Yeah.
I'm assuming you may want to just put these with the committee, but these are a couple ideas, either for agenda items or you put it in a committee. One, I'd like for us to look at the MFP, how that's going, the additional MFP and how we're going to distribute it to certified personnel. And the other one is ideas for retaining principals. And some of that perhaps could be MFP funding so that we can start retaining our principals.
What we'll do, I think we'll, at some point in time, Dr. Dawkins, could you go ahead and direct the staff to do a report on the MFP? I know the staff was looking at trying to develop something. Can we do that? We'll add that.
Jim has been working on that, so he'll be ready.
Is it a committee with board members and certified personnel?
Jim has been working on it. I don't know about the committee part. He'll be ready to report to any committee that the board may form.
Okay.
Well, I'd like, if we can do a presentation.
Okay.
Can we do that? We'll add that as a presentation for the August 20th meeting, if that's okay. Does that give you time to, okay?
And the other one is perhaps,
And
I don't
the
think.
other one is going to have to be involved with the long-range committee discussions with all the stuff that we're going to, that we need to look at.
I believe that there was some extra MFP money that we were trying to decide how to disperse it. And that is, therefore, that is part of my brainchild, that it should be used in efforts to retain principals.
Yeah. Well, again, we need to see the presentation and see what funds available, and then the board can decide what direction to go from there.
Okay, I just want us to have some discussions. Thank you.
Mr. Hooks?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I think I don't know whether mine coincide with Ms. Crowley's or not, but I'd like to know if we can give a date for that teacher supplement that we received from the state, the allocation that we received from the state.
Yeah, that would be the same.
Okay.
Okay. Ms. Crawford?
I don't have backup for this.
Pardon?
I don't have backup
Oh.
for this, but I can get it to everybody by Friday. I'm putting it
Why
on.
don't you get it to me? Is it? We'll put it in a committee if it's something that can go to committee.
I don't think we need it to go.
Okay. What's your item?
I just want us to discuss, this is approval of $100 for M&S from classroom teachers.
I'm sorry. Speak. I couldn't hear you.
Approval of $100 for M&S for classroom teachers.
Okay. I would put that in a committee, the long range planning committee, because we still have budget to look at. So I will.
Do you want that to go to the committee?
Well, I'll put that in a committee. Yeah. Yeah, you can bring that to that committee. Okay. All right, that's your agenda.
Excuse me, Mr. President.
Okay.
When will the long-term committee meet?
Chairman's gonna have to call that meeting. Ms. Armstrong is the chairman, and she'll be
Okay.
calling that. She'll be calling that meeting.
Very soon. I hope it doesn't interfere with your daily activity.
What day you say, Thursday?
As soon as possible.
As soon as possible? You interfered with my duties last week when I was supposed to be at the state.
Okay, we'll try to coordinate it.
No problem. What is Miss Crawford's committee? What's the committee?
She checked capital project building.
Okay, you definitely need to have that long-term committee. But I think I spoke with Ms. Crawford on my situation. I'll bring it up to you. I'm just
Okay.
making sure. You have so many committees.
Yeah. Okay. We need a motion to establish.
Mr. President, I move to approval of the proposed agenda and consent agenda for August 20, 2013 Caddo Parish School Board meeting as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Please vote. Executive committee. Show the vote. Okay. The consent agenda is the 6.01 personnel recommendations, 7.01 purchasing, 8.01 2013-14 Caddo Parish pupil progression plan, 8.03 is the mental health interagency agreements and contracts, 8.05 long-term use Caddo Parish school board facilities, 8.06 approval of Coca-Cola concessions contract for Southwood High School, 8.07 approval of shared services agreements for Linwood Charter School and Lanier Middle School, and 8.08 out-of-state travel, and 8.09 approval of academic achievement awards for the 10 schools moving out of AU status. Do I have a motion to confirm the consent agenda?
Start with you.
We didn't do any work on this. We didn't ask questions.
Okay. Well, when we established the agenda, now, again, with
I just moved to approve the agenda.
we approved the agenda and proposed consent agenda. Now we need to confirm the consent agenda. This is the new state law. Okay, now you confirm it. And when I read it, we don't have to vote to confirm it? No, next session. Okay, that's what we just did. Okay. So we'll okay. All right. We're not gonna have to do that, take that other vote. At this time, we'll poll the audience. The Caddo Parish School Board welcomes your input and comments as we poll the audience regarding items that are the subject of the work session or executive committee meeting. If you would like to speak regarding an item that is the subject of the work session or executive committee meeting, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. When it is your time to speak, please step up to the microphone and make your remarks to the entire board. Please limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. The time clock on the monitor screen will help you be aware of your time. When the time runs out, your time is up. It is the board's policy not to respond individually to members of the audience. When appropriate, the board may refer concerns to the staff to be addressed. As this is a public meeting, we ask that you to refrain from referring to personnel by name or essence. Thank you.
Mr. President, I have a point of order. The agenda items, there's some that weren't on consent that needed to be discussed before we went into that. She had one item that was not on consent.
I'm going to poll the audience, but according to the notes, all the notes that I have is for the superintendent search. Ms. Lansdale, are you trying to say something?
I want to speak to the agenda item.
You can do that. Ms. Lansdale.
I appreciate that very much. You may not appreciate me too much in a minute, though.
But I do.
Jackie Lansdale, president of the Red River United, 1726 Line Avenue, Shreveport, Louisiana. In our business, there's a saying that says that justice delayed is justice denied. And we feel like that is what this board has done to us on a couple of occasions. We worked very hard as a state affiliate, as well as with the other state organizations, to get MFP money secured for teachers for pay increases this year. And we were able to do that for the first time in 5 years. Now I hear you say that you won't allocate before it goes to a committee, that you won't set the committee time. School is starting. Other districts will be allocating those funds, but not you. It is an offense to the highest order that you would take that type of tactic with the people that you're now entrusting to go behind the four walls to teach your children. So I ask this board to put that on the agenda item to allocate the MFP funds for teachers. I further ask this board to put on there to allocate to support employees, as has indicated from your own finance director that you would look into the budget to see where those funds were available. I ask this board to do that. I ask this board to further live up to your commitment to us on the supply fund. Whenever I first went and looked at the budget, I identified $400,000 in the C fund. Those are monies that come from the riverboat, and you can only spend the interest. We haven't done anything in many years because we haven't had any money. This is your budget, not mine. I didn't put these figures on here. It said $400,000. And I asked your finance director, would these funds be available? He said, let's look at it. I went to your board president. I said, can this committee meet? Because I know by grant a committee has to meet in order to make the recommendations. I was told over and over again, I'm looking into it. The committee's trying to get together. This is going to happen. And now what am I hearing? Let's go to a committee. This is offensive to the teachers and school employees of your district, that the board would have such little care with your words and your deeds toward them. I ask this board once again to look at what you have committed thus far and to honor your commitment and honor the state's commitment, the legislature's commitment to the teachers and to the boys and girls of this parish. I ask you to do that. Personnel evaluation, we have not met on that. The personnel evaluation plan, historically, the personnel has asked for the professional organizations to come and give input on that committee. We have not been asked to give any input whatsoever on that undertaking at all. I have made multiple attempts to set a meeting. I think I might get one in the morning to discuss this, that I had to talk about it, and I had to initiate the conversation. This is just unconscionable. We're the ones, I'm the one writing the grievances under personnel evaluation. Probably we know best what's wrong and what needs to be brought forward. Many, many items that we could bring to your attention to make some corrections. We were not asked to do that. This has become a pattern of this administration to not bring professional organizations in, to do things like AB schedules without asking anybody if it might be against the law, salary schedules, but giving it to us after the fact. At some point, you as a board are going to have to sit down and consider the fact that you owe us an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, that you will not pass one single personnel policy that affects the teachers and school employees in this district without first bringing it by professional organizations. We're ready for you to do that. You put us there. Thank you.
Are there any other members of the audience wishing to address an agenda item on this work session agenda? Okay. Having seen none, then we can move on into oh, okay, Charlotte Crawley. I'm sorry.
I know. 802, we have no information by it, so how are we supposed to vote on the personnel evaluation plan? It's not on the computer. Okay, so perhaps they are waiting for more meetings, and that's why I pulled it, because we don't have any information.
That is correct. You do not have any information at this time. The personnel evaluation plan is completed in draft form, that is, you all. Copies have been issued to the professional organizations and to the attorney. Meetings are scheduled so that we can get their input, make the necessary revisions if possible, and put it on board docs in due time for the next meeting.
Thank you. That's a very good answer. I would like to say, let's be careful then when we go down the line and say put on consent, and if we don't have the information, don't put it on consent. Thank you.
Ms. Armstrong.
Yes, sir. Did not we just understand that Mr. Lee was working on the distribution of the MFP for our staff?
He's going to provide the presentation at the next meeting, and he said he was going to be able to do that. Ms. Bell.
And 8.4, I'm just saying, will we get that? I know that's personnel and it's grievance. Will we get the information? When will we get this? It wasn't on the board doc.
The information is ready, will be placed on board docs, you all. That is a grievance out of Southern Hills Elementary and Transportation. You'll have it soon.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Rochelle.
Thank you, Mr. President. As far as the presentation concerned on the MFP, is it possible for us to put this on the agenda, still have a presentation, and vote at the August 20th meeting?
I'm thinking that if it's a presentation, you can make a motion. It's on the agenda, and you can, if the information is there, you can vote to approve
Would
it.
it require 2/3 vote at that point in time?
No.
Beg your pardon?
It's already on the agenda.
I'm hearing voices everywhere.
Mr. Attorney, go ahead.
There's no reason the board can't put it on the agenda now.
You can do
That
it.
way you don't have to have that question at all. If you don't have sufficient information, you can certainly delay it to the next meeting, but there's no reason why you can't put the item on the agenda.
Then I guess I would like to just...
That's kind of like 8.02. We've got, the information is there, but it hadn't been put on the agenda.
Okay.
This information is still being accumulated, so the question to the board is, do you want to
That's what I...
You want to put it on the agenda, or you want to leave it as a presentation?
I'd like for it to be on the agenda.
Okay. You can,
And then...
we've already,
Well, that's what I'm trying to find out is whether...
we've already voted on the agenda, the consent agenda.
Can we add it with the 2/3 vote?
If you can do, I mean, it's already on the agenda, as a presentation. I mean, I don't think we can, unless we go.
You can, all you have to do is have someone that's on the executive committee. You have not adjourned the executive committee meeting.
Okay, the
To
executive
amend the
committee.
agenda to add that item, and then it'll be on.
Okay, then I'm putting that request in, but before I do that, prior to the presentation, whatever your presentation and information is, I would like to have it prior to the meeting, not sitting waiting on me also.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, is there any reason why you couldn't post that on board doc?
Okay, and with that, I think I saw Mr. Pearson waving his hand. So
Move to amend the agenda to add the presentation from Mr. Lee in regarding MFP for
Second.
teachers.
Second.
Okay, restate the motion. Make sure girls get it over there.
They're smart, they got it. Move to amend the...
I get it. The agenda item would be moved to adopt the adoption of the distribution of the MFP money. Does that sound okay? Okay, so I got a motion and a second. Did I get a second? Okay. Please vote. Okay. The board attorney has made another correction. It is not the MFP. It is additional revenues. I'm thinking it is MFP.
It was not voted into the MFP.
Can we ask Mr. Lee to step up? I know we have some stuff coming in, and go ahead.
It is not MFP. It is additional revenue from the state in the state's budget, I believe. Is that correct, Mr. Abrams? Not in the MFP allotment. So it is not technically not MFP dollars.
Okay. Now that is clear as mud. I understand. I know there's where the dollars are coming from. So we're going to look at the distribution of the state supplement dollars that were provided to Caddo Parish.
Teachers.
Or teachers. Yeah.
Another person.
Mr. Lee.
You add other personnel, that means we have to come up with the funding for it. This money is for teachers. So it does not include administrators at the schools, it does not include administrators at central offices, it does not include support staff. So if you add that caveat, we've got to look at how much that's going to cost the school district to fund other employees.
So we're back. The motion would be to move to allocate the state supplement to the teachers. Move to amend move to amend the agenda to allocate the state supplement dollars to the school teachers. Certified classroom. Okay. Okay. Certified classroom teachers. Okay. All right. Please vote again to. Okay. Show the vote. That motion passes. So we have a new agenda item 8.1010 or point 10. Now, I think it would be appropriate to poll the audience if there's anyone that want to speak on that. Seeing none. Ms. Priest.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think mine was just a point of order or what have you. We've always talked about making sure in our work sessions that we do have our backup documentation, you know, before items are really put on the agenda. And definitely if it's going to be on consent, but items on the agenda, and I think we basically had that practice and tried to make sure that people do that, because that way, you know, no one can come up and say, well, I'm not familiar with it, I didn't get it, I don't know. You know, you may not have read it, but I think we need to stick to that. And that's for board members, and that's also for staff. We need to have backup.
Mr. Hooks.
Oh, yes, I was listening to Ms. Priest. You said we need to have backup information? Okay, well, where's our backup information for the $500 that we didn't use the school that came out of AU staff?
Okay, that we need to, we need to move on.
Are you disregarding the point?
I think we already have the agenda item, and I've allowed allowed this to kind of get off track. And I think points are well taken. If we can get the backup information ahead of time, that's great. And there's always an avenue where if you have consensus of the board, especially 100%, to do an agenda item, then you can do that. So that's what took place.
Well, Mr. Purdy, my point was, we accepted them to give them $500 without any evidence of backup information. And I thought, she said you got to have, you need to have the backup information.
And that backup would have been just a simple motion to do that. And I think as board president, my decision would be to allow it and add it, especially when you have consent, 100% consent of the board. So we'll move on. Ms. Crawford, do you have another question?
So what, the statement you made just a while ago, you said not to put my agenda item on the agenda, and then you made a statement that said, yeah, you can put it on the, somebody else could put something on the agenda, but you told me to refer mine on to the committee.
Mr. Abrams is going to do a little explaining.
We've been getting a little bit confused on the procedural part about how you deal with agenda items and what the board's policy is. Actually, during the work session, you can put any item on the agenda, and add the item to the agenda, even without any backup. Okay, in the case of Ms. Crawford, if she's asking for an item to be placed on the agenda, but the board president desires that it go to a committee, the board president has power under your policy to send it to a committee. Okay. Now, the fact that Ms. Bell had a policy that requested a motion that you have an item added to the agenda with no backup, okay, really doesn't come up until the next meeting. And that's during the meeting when it's going to be voted on. It's on the agenda, but when you get there, someone can say, you didn't have your backup on the day of, and so the board policy says you have to have a 2/3 vote in order for us to vote on the item. Okay, so that's when you raise a 2/3 vote because you didn't put your backup, and that's board policy. So it's really at the board meeting when that comes up. Now, the fact of the matter is, if no one says anything, you waive it. So that's why sometimes people will put stuff on there and didn't have any backup at the work session. But if no board member raises a point of order, it's waived. And so the board goes ahead and votes on it. So that's why you get inconsistencies, because if the board doesn't always come in and say, well, Ms. Bell didn't have her stuff, but we don't care, so we go ahead and do it. But if someone raises a point of order, the president has to invoke the rule that says 2/3 vote is required in order for us to act on an item that you didn't have any backup on. Okay? So the issue about going to committee though is new. That's something we just started about sending things to committees. But as far as when you have to have your backup, you're supposed to have it before or at the work session, or else you're going to be subject to a point of order at the next meeting when you actually come here. If you don't say anything, it just goes right on by. Okay.
I still have a question.
Ms. Crawley?
I have a question. Is the putting it on the agenda versus putting it in a committee the sole decision of the president? Can a board member say, go ahead and put it in a committee, but I want it on the agenda?
I can answer that.
That's my question.
I gave in-service on that this morning. The board policy says that it's the board president makes a decision as to whether something will go to committee or not, unless the board votes to overturn the board president. Okay. Okay.
But
And you can't do that during this meeting because you're not in this meeting.
But to put it on the agenda, then you're telling me that the executive committee could vote to overturn, they could do a 2-to-1 on the executive
No,
committee?
this is intended to be a board action, the board itself. The policy is about the board.
How would it ever get on the agenda then?
If the board president
Rethink
puts it
that.
on the agenda, it's on the agenda, okay, with the vote of the executive committee. If the board president decides he's going to send it to committee, he can do it at this meeting, or the board can come in at the actual board meeting and say, we want to overturn the board president, and we're going to vote that it goes on the agenda right now.
Oh my
You
goodness.
recognize that you do have that requirement that you have a unanimous consent in order to do that on the day of, and that's a
And
new
the
rule.
president already ruled no, so it wouldn't get a unanimous. You know, when we did the committee.
Could I just clarify something, and the reason that I referred that is it seems to be so much concern.
Yeah.
Mr. Lee is going to work with the CEF committee to see what funds are available. All of that information is going to be routed to the committee. The committee is going to see what else can be done to provide the funds for the teachers. Okay, that's why. I mean, I don't just do it to upset folks. That's why I'm doing it, because better things seem to happen when we step back and take a look at it. Who knows? Maybe they can come up with more than $100, Ms. Crawford and Ms. Crawley. Is that okay?
Well, my problem was, this was one of my concerns about the committees. And so it does seem to allow the president more power than we initially thought. That's all I'm saying. That was the problem with the committees.
I believe the policy was pretty clear, and whoever the next president is will be in the same position to
I'm
make those
afraid of that
decisions.
too.
Okay, Mr. Hooks.
The reason I brought it up, I was thinking about a motion that I had brought up with Buzz, and I had already passed my backup information out. But that particular meeting that we had another meeting in between, so we didn't get a chance to discuss
Okay,
it.
Mr. Hooks, and this can be, this is not an agenda item in the work session, and we really shouldn't be continuing this discussion.
Well,
So we need to
the
move
reason
on.
I'm asking-
I'll be glad to sit down and discuss
well,
it.
I have a question, because I might want to put an agenda item on, but I need to know do I need to have the backup information?
What, can you and I talk after the meeting? That'd be the best, and we'll get the board attorney, and we'll stay with you until you have a clear understanding.
Now, I don't understand. Everybody else can talk, but I can't talk.
Well, there's no agenda item, Mr. Hooks, for you to talk about,
It
okay?
has to be an agenda item.
We're gonna move, Mr.
It had nothing behind
Mr.
it.
Hooks, come on, let's move on, okay? I appreciate it very much.
Well, I appreciate it if you answer my question.
Well, I've answered your question. We'll resolve that for
Well,
you.
I don't want to discuss it after the meeting. I
Well,
want to
it's not
discuss
gonna be discussed at this meeting because it is not an agenda item, and we have to follow the rules.
I'm going to call a point of order.
What's your point of order?
I think it's too much. I'm not in the meeting. I can't call it. I'm sorry.
This is an executive committee meeting. But
I tell you what, I talk with you and the president. I let it go because we have business to take care of.
thank you so
More
much.
important than this mess.
Absolutely, thank you. Now, we can, let's see, we have an agenda and we have to approve it. So, we can go on into the, maybe we need to adjourn. Do we need to follow all, is there anyone else that wants to speak on any item on the agenda, on the work session agenda? Okay? All right. I don't see anyone, so we're done for that. We need to adjourn and then go into, I have a motion to go into our special call meeting. Well,
Move to adjourn and go into the special call meeting.
and I'm going to have to second it. Please vote. Show the vote. We're adjourned. We'll take about a 2 or 3 minute recess until we can regroup folks and get them back in here. Okay, recess is over. Okay.
1 minute.
1 minute. We got to get the next item up. We've already done it.
What do you want me to do?
Okay. We'll call this meeting to session. We're ready for a roll call. Not ready yet. So we're still in recess. We're here and we're ready when y'all are. It still says please wait. Okay, please vote. All right, thank you. Now we have it's time for the visitors. And again, the Caddo Parish School Board welcomes your input and comments as we poll the audience regarding the items that are on the subject of the special call meeting. If you would like to speak regarding an item that is the subject of the special call meeting, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. When it is your time to speak, please step to the microphone and make your remarks to the entire board. Please limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. The time clock on the monitor will help you be aware of your time. When the time runs out, your time is up. It is the board's policy not to respond individually to members of the audience. Where appropriate, the board may refer concerns to the staff to be addressed. As this is a public meeting, we ask you to refrain from referring to personnel by name or incident. Thank you. The first card is Jackie Dozier. Please state your name and address for the record. And all of these cards are on superintendent search. It's 3 minutes.
My name is Jackie Dozier, and I live at 1814 A-Line Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71107. I have 2 items that I would like to propose to put before the board. The board manual states that the board's powers and duties are as follows. The Caddo Parish School Board exists by authority found in Article 8 of the Constitution of Louisiana and in Title 17 of the Louisiana Revised Statutes of 1950. The board shall provide for a school system and establish general policies in keeping with the needs of the community and the requirements of the state law. I want to address 2 of those duties. One is to elect the superintendent, and number 10 in that list is to perform the specific duties imposed upon the board by statutes, found on page 87 of that board manual. The second one I'd like to address is file KBCD, broadcasting and taping of board meetings. And it reads as follows. It shall be the policy of the Caddo Parish School Board that proper decorum shall be maintained during all school board meetings. That's on page 826. The community represented by 12 school districts have elected each of you
to the Caddo Parish School Board to represent our children and to carry out your duties and responsibilities as outlined in the 860 pages of your board manual. The issue that I want to address is the selection of the next superintendent. You, the board, made the decision on how this process would take place with timelines, and the community, myself included, trusted that plan. You failed us in executing your duty and responsibility to elect the next superintendent accordingly. What your recent decision and reported behavior during the selection process has shown me, the media and the public, is that maybe you're incapable of following through on your own plans and designs at such a critical time in our district. Your decision makes me wonder, is this a sign of board ineptness, non-compliance, and or ignorance of your duties and responsibilities? Or do you have a hidden agenda operating for choosing the next superintendent? Putting off the process by splitting the votes is counterproductive to the needs of this school district and the community. It further delays the new superintendent from starting the monumental and daunting task of improving the academic achievement of students from the overall planning, direction, control, and evaluation of parish activities, such as choosing and coordinating key staff, ensuring the provision of adequate resources, and the support necessary to achieve the goals and objectives listed on page 63 to 73 of your manual, with whatever revisions and modifications are needed with high expectations for all involved. There's one last piece I want to talk about, and that's a commitment, the accountability commitment that's listed on page 76, and it reads, the Caddo Parish School Board accepts the philosophy of accountability. Your actions caused me to call this commitment into question. In my conclusion, I'm asking the board not to spend any more money to pay an outside agency to do what we are paying you to do, select the next superintendent. You have already spent $26,000 to narrow the search for you to 3 individuals.
Ms. Dozier, your
Yes,
time
sir.
has expired.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Joe Gant, please step to the microphone and state your name and address for the record.
My name is Joe Gant. My address is 5823 Ledbetter Street, Shreveport, 71108. I would like to ask members of our advisory committee who are here to please stand. Thank you so much. Mr. President and board members, my reason for doing that is because there are many on this committee. When we started the committee, we asked if our input was going to be of any value to the board. And we were sure that it was. But after giving our report to the board and the way the board voted, we feel that our time was wasted. Our information was not valued. But we'd like to ask in the future, if you're not going to listen to citizen advisory committees, it's best just not to appoint one. Because you have the authority to name the superintendent, and if that's what you intend to do without the advice of the citizens, just do it. The last thing that I would like to say, because I'm really concerned about our school district, I remind you of a couple of things that we're doing. Number one, our credibility is falling because if we're not serious about what we're doing, then we ought to not do it. The second thing we need to really be careful about, the reputation of a divided board. I am a pastor. I would not want to go into a church on a 51-49 vote. And the reason I would not is because I would be coming into a split congregation. Even with this board, if you get a 7-5 vote, that sends a bad signal where we are. And the reason of it is because, think about it. The question is, why did that person change their vote? If the person changed their vote, not because their heart is really into it, then the new superintendent is going to come in here still with a 6-6 divided board. It's hard enough to do a job when people say they want you. It's impossible when they don't. Therefore, some of you heard I presented an alternate, and if it comes down to that, I would that you would consider that. Because I think it's imperative that we leave this meeting today with someone in charge of our school system. Thank you.
Doc Voorhees, can you help me with that? Voorhees, please state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Doc, D-O-C-K, Voorhees, 10014 Brittany Drive, Shreveport, Louisiana. You know, I know you have a difficult task as a past school board member in West Texas that I had the opportunity to select a superintendent. It is a difficult task. But I just want to share a personal opinion, and that is, I know both John Dilworth, I went to school with him, and Dr. Nash Robinson. They're both excellent candidates. I would agree with Pastor Gann. We need to select someone. I have a personal opinion about that, and I just wanted to share it with you. You know, I have listened to Dr. Nash Robinson. We know her. We know her credentials. Her life is an open book. There's no research needed. There's no unanswered question. I just come to support her as our next superintendent.
Mr. Willie Bradford, please state your name and address for the record.
Willie Bradford, 3026 Independence Avenue, Shreveport. To the chairman, to the board members. To Dr. Dawkins, for his absence, I want to express to him appreciation for his work and service to this school system and to this community. Mr. Chairman, I wasn't at the last meeting. As a matter of fact, it's been over 5 years since I've been to any meeting here at the school board. And somebody asked me why I stopped attending school board meetings, and I told them because I was tired of leaving this meeting disappointed. For years, coming to meeting expecting our leaders to lead, but yet leaving disappointed. Back in January, this board chose not to renew Dr. Dawkins' contract. 7 months ago. 7 months ago. 6 months and almost $30,000 later, last week you could not decide on a new superintendent. I find that appalling. I find that this board could not, after 6 months of consideration and deliberation, could not come up with a superintendent. I submit to you that Caddo Parish School Board Superintendent's position is not an attractive position anymore, for the very reason that has been stated here earlier. Just like you vent those people, they vent you. They know what type of school system this is, in the demeanor and the behavior of this board, and that the community, and it was proven just a few months ago, decided to fight you on renewing funding for school education. That's not a good climate to come into. And you got to understand that. We at a crossroads. We at a crossroads. Good things happening. Something good happened earlier this week when we found that 10 schools was coming from under the AU status. It was great. It's time out for shuffling and jiving, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. You're putting the future of education of our students at risk by your non-decisiveness. You can decide not to select a superintendent, but you can't decide not to start school on the 12th. We got to move with this. The position is not attractive. In all due respect to John Dilworth and Mary Nash Robinson, after a nationwide search that produced several candidates, which I thought, and I said on somebody's Facebook page, that I thought that you all go ask for your money back with the quality of those candidates. But in all due respect, I believe that John Dilworth and Mary Nash Robinson were the best two candidates that was of that list, and that those are the best two candidates you're going to get if you start another search. It's been another $30,000. Because this board is not, this position is not attractive anymore. I'm asking you today to do your job. To do your job and select a superintendent for the students of Caddo Parish and for this community. You was elected to do your job. I'm asking that you do your job. And let's get back to the business of educating the students of Caddo Parish. Thank you very much.
Ms. John Glover. please step to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Good evening. John Glover, 8100 Pines Road, Apartment 3H, Shreveport, Louisiana. Recently, we were made aware that of the 22 AU schools here in Caddo Parish, 10 have exceeded the criteria needed for their release. But what are the criteria and how can one know? Recognizing this is an auspicious occasion, how can we get the particulars that will facilitate the remaining schools' release? A superintendent can affect this very issue. That individual can engage dialogue that will produce such answers. Without such an individual who has the vision to address this, we may only take a wait and see attitude. Is that what we want to continue engaging? I can almost bet you that an interim superintendent will not have such a vision, as their tenure will be short. It is with these words that I encourage you to select the individual that will spearhead our school system towards success. Thank you.
Scott Hughes, please step to the mic, state your name and address. Thank you.
Good evening, Scott Hughes, Alliance for Education, 820 Jordan Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71106. Last Monday night, the Caddo Parish School Board failed to reach a consensus on electing a new superintendent. In fact, well short of consensus, you failed to reach a simple one-vote margin to elect anyone as the leader for the region's largest employer with over 6,000 employees and the responsibility for educating almost 40,000 children. But it was not a surprise outcome for those who've been following the process. In fact, it was an outcome we all saw coming given the posturing of this board and the likely split given you have an even number of board members. And in fairness, each of you is entitled to cast the vote as you see fit and you feel represents your district. The failure of last Monday night was not that one side or the other could not get one of the 12 independently elected representatives to switch at the 11th hour. The failure was that given over 2 months and tens of thousands of dollars, we were not able to come up with a candidate whom a large majority of this board could rally around. And let's be clear here. Caddo is at the point we do not need a leader who gets elected on a one-vote margin. Caddo needs a leader who instills confidence in 9, 10, or all 12 of you. Caddo has need of a leader all can put their vote behind and trust that that person will move the entire district forward. So how do we get there? What do we do now? For starters, we may have to stop doing what we've always done and hope it somehow produces a different outcome. And while we are not experts in running a superintendent search at the Alliance, here are some thoughts we have based on years of watching our 7 local school districts. Number 1, pay for excellence. The Caddo job currently pays in the range of $200,000. And while that's a nice salary, overall it is simply not attracting the talent we need to even apply. And given the relative salary ranges of the much smaller districts that surround us, it may not even be competitive. We understand board members' reluctance to offer large salary packages, but it's the most important job in the system. It's on par with the most important jobs in the community, and we may even have to pay upwards of $300,000 or $400,000 to attract someone that has the talent worth investing in. Number 2, change the central office paradigm. Caddo has more than 24 people who hold the proper certification for superintendent, only 1 applied. There are dozens more in the region, none applied. Why? School systems have made attractive jobs those in central office, while principals and superintendents have gone largely unnoticed. Principals and superintendents have huge accountability, often exceeded by that of central office staff. We believe that given the ability to serve effectively and quality for years in a central office, why would anyone apply for a principal or superintendent job? Change the paradigm. Put your money in principals. Reevaluate your salary structure. Number 3, non-traditional applicants. We believe that you always look at certification. Why not look outside the box? I'm going to jump ahead. Number 4, go find your next superintendent. The closed process is simply not working for you. You're not getting applicants. Much like hiring a football coach or a minister, you may have to go find someone that's doing that job and find a way to attract them to apply to our district. We understand that's different than the open process now, but as previous speakers have said, let's be honest, the public is playing little or no role in your process I think we need to get to a process where you, the 12 members of this board, can find someone you can put your trust behind. And I hope we find that person quickly. Thank you.
Okay, that brings us down to agenda item for the resolution. Do I have a motion for the resolution for the civil rights?
I move that we give a resolution for the North Louisiana Civil Rights.
Have a motion to approve the resolution
Second.
and a second. Any discussion?
We had our backup work.
Okay, please. We'll get ready to vote. Please vote. Show the vote. Mr. Pearson, next item.
Mr. President, I'd like to move to go into executive session to discuss superintendent candidates for no more than 1 hour.
I got a motion and a second. Please vote. Please show the vote. The board will, so that folks don't have to move out of here, the board will move to the superintendent's conference room for this part of the agenda.
you.
Okay, we are back in session, and Ms. Crawford is on the board.
Okay, move that John Dilworth be appointed and employed as Caddo Parish Superintendent of Schools on the terms and conditions provided in the contract negotiated by the board's executive committee, and further, that the Caddo Parish School Board authorize, empower, and direct the president of the Caddo Parish School Board to execute the contract.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please vote. Ms. Armstrong, have you voted? It doesn't show it. Show the vote. Motion fails. Mr. Ryle.
Thank you, President Ramsey. Move to name Mary Nash Robinson interim superintendent of Caddo Parish Public Schools effective August 12th, 2013, with the authority commensurate with the position and a salary of $180,000 until a superintendent is elected by the board, with the understanding that Mary Nash Robinson will not be a candidate for superintendent, that Mary Nash Robinson be allowed to return to her position as chief of staff once a permanent superintendent is selected by the board.
Second. Okay, and who had the second? Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, who's the second? Okay, any other discussion? Okay, I gotta get through the first and the second. All right, Ms. Priest.
I have a substitute motion. Move that the executive committee review credentials for current employees to determine who meets the qualifications as interim superintendent, and set a meeting to select an interim superintendent.
Second.
You have a second? Okay. On the substitute motion, we're ready to vote.
This is a substitute.
This is the substitute motion to request that they are authorize executive committee to review the list of candidates.
Point of clarification there.
Ms. Priest, would you state your motion? Restate your motion.
Move that the executive committee review credentials for current employees who meet the superintendency requirements to determine the qualifications as interim superintendent, and set a meeting to select an interim superintendent.
Show the vote. Show the vote. That motion fails. The original motion is to name Dr. Robinson interim, please.
Should they read it again?
Pardon? Okay, read the motion again.
Move to name Mary Nash Robinson interim superintendent of Caddo Parish Public Schools effective August 12, 2013, with the authority commensurate with the position and a salary of $180,000 until a superintendent is selected by the board, with the understanding that Mary Nash Robinson will not be a candidate for superintendent. Number 2, that Mary Nash Robinson be allowed to return to her position as chief of staff once a permanent superintendent is selected by the board.
Okay. Yeah. Please.
And I'd like to speak. I would like to, and we may have to go to executive session to do this, but I'd like to visit with Dr. Robinson about this at this point in time.
No.
Okay, may I add, since Dr.
I'm gonna let the attorney explain.
Okay, so now, can I ask any questions of Dr. Robinson here?
If you need to, I guess, clarify any points of the motion, maybe that would be appropriate. But then, once if you go beyond that, I would have to.
I'll be very. I mean, it's very specific. If Dr. Robinson wants to respond or not. That would be certainly be up to her. But well, that's how I'll paraphrase. I'll preface it is that, is this agreeable?
Mr. Attorney, is this okay? Okay, it is okay.
I'm on the board for questions. I'm on the board to speak.
Mr. Rochelle had the second. So Mr. Rochelle is on the board since the maker of the motion hasn't made a comment.
Okay.
Mr. Rochelle.
Are these agreeable terms, and is there anything else that you'd like to tell the board?
Mr. Rochelle, thank you for asking. I've pondered this for a very long time. I am a school person. I do children, I do school administrators, I do school staff and teachers. Never meant for this ever to become the fiasco that it has become. Never meant that. It is my sincere desire to continue to do that. This is a calling for me, and I've said that to you before. It's actually time to move the district forward. The terms for which Mr. Rowell mentioned in the motion are acceptable to me. I have 40 years in this district, and we'll determine thereafter how much longer it is that I will continue to work, but I'd like to do that in that capacity, and that would give me an opportunity to do that and to continue to service young people and families and communities in this district. So that's acceptable to me.
Okay.
I will not apply.
Thank you.
Okay. Hang on. I'm trying to either figure the wording of this question because I want it to be appropriate, or whether or not I can even do it or not.
Yes, sir.
I think we're going to have to give me a quick decision.
Okay, that's it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Dr. Robinson.
Ms. Priest. You're on the board.
I'm on the board too, right? You see me?
I'm sorry. Your name was on the board.
Oh, okay.
You don't want it on there? I've cleared it, but,
I don't know.
okay. Well, go ahead. I called on you, so that's why I cleared
And
it.
the reason I'm back on here is that both of the motions, failed. I would still like for this executive committee to see the credentials of the other employees within the district that have the certifications.
That motion
Point of
failed.
order, that
motion
voted
failed.
on.
Yeah, that motion failed. Ms. Bell?
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question to the maker of the motion, Mr. Riley, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Was this did y'all discuss this? Have this already been discussed before we knew anything about this come to the board? Because it seemed like to me, when you said it, Mr. Rochelle, and he told you, oh, she's already discussed, I heard the words over there. So I want to know, was this already done before we came?
Ms. Bell?
No, sir.
No, yes, ma'am. You're out of order.
I'm asking a question to the maker, and it's about.
Mr. Ramsey, if I respond, I didn't discuss anything.
Okay.
I just was given information that was agreeable with Dr. Robinson and made the motion.
Okay.
Okay, what about, you say I'm out, but I have another question.
Okay. What's your question?
The question was, and I heard, I know it's pop, that this was said and it will be given 18 months before we find somebody. This was said. Look like to me this was pending all the time, okay?
No,
Okay.
that's not the same. Ms. Green? Okay. Mr. Trammell?
Mr. President, my question is only due to the length of time this will be. Will there be a set amount of time on the interimship?
That will be the nature of another board meeting to discuss the timeline of the selection of the next superintendent. Ms. Priest, are you back?
Yes, sir.
Mr. President, I would like us to go into recess.
Second.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Second.
Well, that's a request for a recess, and no, we need to move forward. Ms. Crawley?
I have a friendly amendment. That we immediately engage in a superintendent search.
Okay, we have a friendly amendment to begin the superintendent search.
And I'm sorry, I didn't finish it. I'm sorry. My brain stopped
Well,
on me.
not sure how, but go ahead.
My brain stopped on me. And that upon the return to her current position, her salary will go to what it is currently for that position.
Okay, and we have a second. We have a second. Okay? Everyone understand the friendly amendment?
Mr. Ramsey, now this includes the...
Are you okay with the friendly amendment?
Audience, be quiet. Yeah, now that is we're just adding that on to the original motion, right?
That's a friendly amendment, and with the agreement of the second, there's no vote. If we agree, if y'all agree.
Okay.
Okay.
So now we're voting when we vote, we'll vote with the original motion with the friendly amendment tacked onto it. Is that correct?
It will be the original motion with her friendly amendment.
Right. That's what our vote is.
And then we will proceed immediately and then discuss how that will happen.
Okay.
Okay. So that's the motion. Read the motion again, and then we'll add the friendly amendment.
Okay, the motion is, and then you'll read your amendment?
Okay.
Motion is moved to name Mary Nash Robinson interim superintendent of Caddo Parish Public Schools effective August 12, 2013, with the authority commensurate with the position and a salary of $180,000 until a superintendent is selected by the board, with the understanding that Mary Nash Robinson will not be a candidate for superintendent. That Mary Nash Robinson be allowed to return to her position as chief of staff once a permanent superintendent is selected by the board.
And that the board will immediately enter into a superintendent search, and her salary will go to back to what it currently is after her tenure as interim superintendent.
Okay, is it clear?
Mr. President, it's been asked, and I'm going to ask again of the chair, because a lot of this is happening quickly, and right here, I would appreciate a recess.
I have asked.
And I know that's been asked, and I'm asking again.
Well, the nature of the recess is not to discuss agenda items that are on the table.
And that's fine. I just I need to sort out everything that's happened here. Because you're fixing to ask me to vote, and this is just.
But does everyone understand the motion on the table?
I understand the motion. I understand the motion.
Okay. And board, really, that at this point, that's about all we can do. You know, if we recess, we can all go to the bathroom and get a drink, and that's about it.
No, well, there are some other options, Mr. President. There are.
Mr. Abrams, I'm going to call on you to explain the deal here. Well, the nature of what we can do when we go into recess.
You go into recess, you should not be discussing this item at all. So you should be at all between each other, because you now have a motion on the table that's subject to being voted on. You've had debate.
Okay. So I think at this time I'll have to call for the vote. But I'm sorry, Mr. Pearson's on the board.
I'm the last part of the motion. Are we to discuss at any time about how we're going to go about the next search? Because we haven't really declared that the search was over. We just went out of one motion into the other motion,
Yeah.
and nobody declared, well, this search has ended. You know, now we need to go further with something else. And that's difficult for me, and I just kind of, do we know how we're going to go forward? Are we going to discuss at some point in this meeting, how do we go forward, whether we're going to get a search group, hire Jacobson again, just put a notice in somebody's box, just how we're going to go about it?
I think Ms. Crawley, friendly amendment addressed to immediately start a search. My response to that would be a special call meeting for the board to establish and direct which way they want to go with the search, whether it's to be done internally, locally, by a contract company, or how. But with the vote that we just did, it's officially over. So now the motion on the table is to immediately begin a search. And if the motion passes, I will call a special call meeting just as quickly as we can, and call it, in such a fashion that everyone can attend it. So you know, even if it's tomorrow or Thursday or whatever, it'll be before August the 11th, and we'll have a direction before the interim takes over. Okay, and I've clarified the motion that's on the table. It addresses what the next step is as far as the superintendent search. Okay. Mr. Ryle is on the board.
Thank you, President Ramsey. I didn't respond to the motion that I made, but I hope we don't make all this more difficult than it needs to be. We need somebody in place guiding our school system with school fix and start. And then any other thing that we need to do as far as superintendent search, we can attend to that as time, in the next meeting. But we need to get some things started right now and put some things on the ground running.
Okay, Ms. Crawford.
I'm going to ask this publicly because I think it ought to be public. I'm going on vacation, and I'm asking that no meeting be called next week unless I have time to buy a ticket and get back here.
I will call them.
I just think that
I will call the meeting after you get back. How's that? Because I think again, school will be started, and I will make sure that every board member will be able to attend or check their schedules. As soon as we can get that together, then we'll proceed. Ms. Bell.
I need to make an amendment to the amendment. But I need to ask a question for the person who made that amendment. I need to make an amendment, add amendment to the amendment, make a motion to the amendment. Could you please read it to me again? And I'd like to add the amendment to it, what I'm going to say. Make sure I get it clear.
That we go into a superintendent search immediately, and that upon her tenure as interim superintendent, her salary goes to what it is currently.
Okay, my amendment is that we go into a superintendent search within the next week, that we will not have this search for 18 months.
Right.
And that I'm adding it to the amendment now, and that we do this immediately, and we have a superintendent within the next permanent superintendent, 2 or 3 months.
Makes sense.
That this will not be.
Ms. Bell, I can tell you that you can adjust that when we start.
No, I can't, because you're going to vote of it, and you'll be the main one to say we didn't say this. I want to make sure it's said. That will be the next week. We go into a search, and then we will give ourselves 3 months to select a superintendent. And as Mr. Pearson said, what will we do?
You're right. Okay, that's enough.
I will say the month of August. I'll say the month of August.
She's. Again,
Okay. My motion is to have a superintendent selected within 90 days. Okay. All right. That's my amendment.
I didn't hear
that we have a superintendent within place, permanent superintendent within place 90 days.
This is a friendly amendment.
No, it goes to Sean.
It's his motion.
Mr. Ramsey, I can't go along with that. How can you guarantee, I mean, we've had this long to try to get one. How can we guarantee we can have one in 90 days? I mean,
it's not okay, portable, let's come back to order, folks. Okay, they said no to your friendly amendment.
now, if she makes it a goal to establish a superintendent within 90 days, that's different.
Okay, hold on. Hey guys.
Okay.
Now, are you saying a goal, to set a goal to name a superintendent within the next 90 days? And is that another friendly amendment?
Okay, that's okay.
Is that acceptable? the friendly amendment people and the original maker of the motion?
90 days.
Okay. Now okay, let's, no more sidebars.
Okay, I mean, 80 cents.
That's enough.
Okay.
Please. Ms. Trammell.
Mr. President, I don't know what's happening right now, so I'm trying to get out of the air. We're adding the amendments to his motion.
Yeah.
The friendly amendments that have been set. So now we're back to vote.
On the motion that's on the floor is now with the friendly amendments of both start a superintendent search immediately with the goal of naming a superintendent for the 90 days, and once a superintendent is named, that the interim goes back to her original job at her original salary.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, everyone understand the motion? Okay, Mr. Riley, you done with your...
No, I call for the question.
Okay, call for the question. Mr. Hook's second. If you call for the question, vote only. Vote yes if you want to stop the debate. Please vote now.